Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the important factions, forces, and units of the Warhammer 40k universe, the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace, there is only time for war. And today, we are to explore the countless and soulless legions of the Necrons. Of course, I can only be speaking of the Necron Warriors. Few are the foot soldiers that can invoke such a deep-seated terror as these mindless beings who never tire, never relent in their onward march. But, as usual, for the very basics, let us lean on existing wisdom. To quote, remorseless, implacable, and armed with terrifying Gorse weaponry, legions of Necron warriors emerge from their stasis crypts to slay the living. Once these unfeeling soldiers were the mortal citizenry of the Necron tier, but their flesh was stripped away and forged anew in the ancient past by unfathomable technologies. Necron warriors are practically unkillable. Their living metal bodies are able to heal all but the most grievous of wounds in a matter of moments. Even dismemberment is but a momentary state for a Necron warrior, as its mangled body reforms itself before the horrified eyes of its enemies. To resist a Necron warrior is to resist the inevitable onset of death itself. Marching across the smoking battlefields of the 41st millennium in relentless metallic ranks, Necron warriors are the unfeeling foot soldiers of the Pharaons. Their minds reduced to a shadow of consciousness, they have become the slave legions of the overlords, traded and branded like livestock. Necron warriors are valued only for the destruction that they can visit upon the foe. The Pharaons coldly send them into battle to crush their enemies beneath an avalanche of living metal. Even with only a glimmer of consciousness to guide it, a Necron warrior is a fearsome and resilient foe. Armed with ancient energy weapons, they can scythe down their enemies with lethal volleys of Gorse flare fire, while their unyielding metal bodies repair themselves should they sustain damage. That the remains of the Necron tier's mind, trapped in the Necron warrior's time-worn frame, is only vaguely aware of the ebb and flow of battle, makes little difference to its foes, as they are ground underfoot. What care I that my legions are faceless? Identity matters only to those who have the ability to think. My immortals and Lichguard, perhaps. Lords and Cryptex, certainly. For the remainder of my vassals, well, suffice to say that the concept of glory is wasted on the inglorious. Imitek the Stormlord, Pharaon of the Soulless dynasty. The living metal form of a Necron warrior is a marvel of ancient science. It can bear myriad colors, textures, and markings, and the Necron warriors of two dynasties are seldom alike. Some appear as if forged from burnished silvered steel, their hard shells untarnished by age. Others appear as if cast from ceramics, stone, or even glass, hinting at the strange technologies used to create them. Over these unyielding surfaces, the symbols and colors of the dynasties proudly proclaim the warriors' allegiance. Necrons are haunted by the echoes of their proud militaristic past, and consequently retain the pageantry of their once great empire. Soulless warriors employ the cold silver and electric green used by their Pharaon, Imhotep, as the bearing of these colors has ever been regarded as the prerogative of the greatest leaders of the Necron tier. By contrast, Nephrec warriors are gold-skinned, hinting at the dynasty's immense solar wealth. The Thocht favor the cold blue of their crown world's immense void reefs, while the soldiery of the Hierarch wear the crystal of their system's asteroids. Though the death of stars and the destruction of worlds has changed the celestial landscape of the Necron Empire, these fragments of its past live on. The anchor upon a Necron warrior's chest binds it to the Triarch and shows it has a place within the Necron Empire. However, it also acts as a mark of personal ownership. Legions bear the colors of their lords and overlords upon the ankh, with more ostentatious markings signifying a more important master. The use of gold in the ankh, or cartouche, is a mark of high honor afforded to the personal legions of a Toon World's ruler. Extracts taken from 8th edition Codex Necrons. End quote. The sight of ranks of skeletal warriors all arrayed for war has always been one of an almost feral fear, an unconscious fright. Since the classic film Clash of the Titans, I've always been enamored of the simple skeletal warrior, the threat of them, their wrongness. And these champs are merely skeletons of metal after all. They lurch forward unthinkingly, as do all necromantically generated armies, yet they have been fully brought into the grim darkness of the far future, so made so much worse. For how much more terrifying would a horde of animated dead be if they had long-range weaponry? Yes, you can outrun these shambling horrors easily, but can you outpace their gorse fire? I think not. Now I have a singular and newfound love of these humble horrors, for it was only recently that I was able to get in a game again, and I chose to play my new Necron army as a result, put it through its paces, so to put it. And how I adore these terrors now. Previously, I'd only fought against them, and had a firm respect for their durability, tenacity, and simple stubborn refusal to be removed from the board. Now, having commanded them myself, I am even more enamored with them. For they really do just exactly what is stated on the tin. They slowly march forward, eroding everything in their path. The fun I had that night, even as I was slowly marching into a well-coordinated trap, and a plethora of Thousand Sons elite scarab terminators appeared and ringed them in and butchered them. Even so, it took more effort than their player was willing to admit, and we both had an excellent night. And they play up to my personal preference to use the humble troop as my mainstay in most of my lists and armies. For although I love the elite and flashy units as much as the next player, it is and always has been the line warriors, the boots on the ground, that has always fired my imagination the most. And with the Necrons, one simply does not leave home without a horde of silver undead terrors, in blocks and ranks as far as the eye can see. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. I hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to Necron Warriors. If so, then please consider liking and subscribing. If you do, then hit the notifications button, as I would not want you to miss out. If you see the worth in what we are doing, then please do also consider joining our Patreon, or giving the video a share if that is beyond your present scope. It would be a great boon. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.